Hello and welcome to this tutorial of the Keras framework. Today we are going to talk about adding radio buttons and select boxes to your form using configuration. Let's get started. We are going to go to our component, configuration, and from there we are going to then add the two fields that we need. At the moment we are going to use marital status and gender. So let's add them there. You specify your field names, you specify your language tags. You can make them optional. The two. Make them optional. You specify the tables where they're going to come from, and then the ID and the label or the value from the table. Specify the sorting or ordering, ascending or descending order. You specify filtering, so you only get the records from those tables where status ID is equal to active. So by doing that, you have to specify the array and specify the exact range. Once this has been completed, you go back to your language file. You also add the two into your language file. Translation, gender, and marital status. Once those are done, we go back to our configurations again. So we wanted to add them on the form and maybe show them on the view. So what we are going to do is to copy this. Put that there. Now you copy that. That's very quick. Reference to speed up the tutorial. Do that. This means in our add form we are going to have them. We are going to have them also on the edit. We are going to also have them on the view. Now when you go back to our application, we click on the list. You can see that we have our list there, but they're not showing there since we have not specified them. Now we go to our form. You can see that there we don't see our two fields there. So if you go back to here, realize that one of the mistake that we have done there, we've specified the language tag and gender. So what we need to do is to remember now to use the field name itself. So we are going to override this with the field name. Once done that, we also override this one with the field name, the underscore ID as a standard. Go back, let's refresh our application. This now we can see. What do we have? We have gender as a select box, and we have also as a radio button. We can only swap them around quickly. Let's for purposes of this example, can decide to make since the gender is normally less items, and we can make this on a select box. So you can go back to our screen. You can see how they're changing. Now they're swapped around. If your gender, you can say male and that. One thing that we notice here is that there's nothing selected prior to you opening the form. So one other thing that we can also do in terms of setting some defaults, especially for the gender, maybe what we can do, we go back to the configuration, look at that you specify another attribute is called xDefault plus our default fields. Yeah, you can specify one, which is male. So you go back there. And then how do we know that one is male? So if we go to our database, we can, from our database point of view, look at gender. Open the gender, you can see male is 1, female is 2, and other is 3. We can have that. We can still go here and then change it to 3 as other. Where some people don't want to specify their gender. By default, you'll have that, and you can add test number 2, test, email, domain. You can add some pronoun. And now you're able to add your record. You can add the same merit. as you notice that what you are getting, because we are running under development, we are now getting an error, which is an insert pigment error, which now this tells us that we've done some mistakes. We've forgotten one critical thing to do into our database. If we now go back to our table, let's quickly go back. Component 1, can all remember that. As we notice here, we have not added our fields into the database, so the system will throw an error. So then we go back. We are now going to specify our two fields, relative data and gender ID. You can specify them at small integers since they are very small in terms of the land. We save them there, we go back, we can then refresh our screen. Voila. Now we have our record in there. Though they are still not showing on the list page because we have not added them, but if you go to the view, you realize that they are also showing there. And if you go to the edit, they also showing there. And another thing that we need to notice that this form, especially on the view, is that if your data did not have, say for example, we did not choose in the marital status, one thing you notice that if you go for this one and you go on the view, that the marital status will not show on that because there's no data in there. This is to make sure that we avoid showing field labels but no values, and that can be too much on the screen without the data. So just to keep our screens dim, we only show the data, the fields where the data are there. Yeah, and that's it in terms of that. You still have your delete function, you still have your edit, you still have your view. We can do something like if you want to really add the gender, if you want to add your gender as required, you can go back to your form again, make this true to make it required, and then maybe also what we can do for the gender, we can go on our list and we start as a first thing in our list. We add the gender column. So if you go back to our list now, you notice that we have gender value because the first record that we captured, we never captured, and that will show us blank, but we can then go back and edit it and say male or female. And like that, now our gender is showing in that column. And that's it with this tutorial. Hope you've learned something. We'll catch up soon and take care.